And security is being stepped up for Taylor Swift's upcoming London concerts after a thwarted terror plot in Vienna. Those shows were canceled last week after the threat was uncovered and 2 suspects arrested. Now authorities in London are taking new measures to ensure safety on the final leg of her European tour. Chief Foreign Correspondent Ian Pannell is at Wembley Stadium with more.
As Taylor Swift prepares to return to Wembley Stadium for 5 sellout shows, new details emerging about how authorities plan to keep tens of thousands of fans safe on the heels of the alleged terror plot in Austria. Met Police say there's nothing to indicate that the matters being investigated by the Austrian authorities will have an impact on the London shows. Allied Universal has provided security for multiple domestic Eras Tour stops.
There will be thousands of people involved in security, which will be a combination of security personnel as well as security technology.
Just days before Taylor Swift's Eras Tour was set to kick off in Vienna, Austrian authorities thwarting an alleged terror plot inspired by ISIS, arresting 3 teens. One of them, this 19-year-old, confessed he planned a suicide attack outside the stadium with knives or homemade explosives, according to authorities. Multiple stops along the Eras Tour have had outdoor areas for non-ticket holders to listen to the concert. But Wembley posting on their event page that anyone without a ticket should not travel to Wembley Stadium. No one's allowed to stand outside any entrance. And ahead of the concert, the 14-time Grammy winners' fans say they're confident they will be safe.
I do feel that anything in terms of security is going to be really amped up.
ABC News Chief Foreign Correspondent Ian Pannell is outside Wembley Stadium with more on this. Ian, what are officials saying now? Are they seeing or hearing about any sort of threat to these shows?
Well, Diane, first of all, just to give you some sense of the scale of the challenge, this is actually the main walkway that goes up to Wembley Stadium that you can see there. It's named Olympic Way from when the Olympics were held here many, many years ago. You're going to see 80,000 fans funneling through this area over a series of days when Taylor Swift performs. And so, of course, that's a huge challenge for any kind of concert. But given what happened in Austria, it's an added challenge and an added concern, not just for the police here, but also for Taylor Swift's people. She's obviously got her own security as well. There's a long list of things that people should or shouldn't do, but what the Metropolitan Police are saying, this is the police for London, is they don't see any added threat because of what happened in Austria, but they also acknowledge, and the London Mayor Sadiq Khan said this, because of what happened at the Ariana Grande concert in 2017 in Manchester, that they changed their security protocols, that intelligence agencies communicate with each other, it's integrated with the police. So yes, everyone's going to be on high alert.
Ian, what are the fans there saying? Are they concerned, or are they just more focused on the concert in front of them and hoping security can keep them safe?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You're already starting to get a sense of a build-up of some of the atmosphere there. You can see some of the Swifties. I talked to a couple of them earlier who were enjoying a coffee in the sunshine overlooking Wembley Stadium. Look, they said that they were acutely aware of what happened in Austria. They were slightly concerned, but they were also concerned about what it had meant for Taylor Swift fans in Austria, in Vienna, and also what it meant for Taylor Swift herself. But they're excited, as you would expect. And they also said that they have a high degree of confidence about the security measures that are here. I mean, Wembley Stadium is the main stadium for the United Kingdom, or certainly one of them, and it's used to holding high-profile events. Security is very, very tight. There are cameras absolutely everywhere. And, of course, fans and those working will all be carefully scanned.
So, Ian, in terms of that heightened security, what can fans expect as they arrive at these London shows?
Yeah, I mean, my advice, because I knew you were going to ask me that, so I looked it up, is to go to the Wembley.com website and look under the Eras Tour, because there is a very, very, very long list of things that the fans should and shouldn't do, including really a long list of things that they shouldn't bring that will slow down. But the size of bags, for example, that people bring is going to be limited to just the size of A4 paper. certain types of watches and jewellery will not be allowed, liquids, water only. Certain types of food, for example, will not be allowed, depending on where you are, whether you're in the stands or you're down on the ground in front of the stage. So people really should be very cognizant of that. They're going to have a hardline attitude here that people need to comply with all these things. But the overall message is that people shouldn't be afraid. People should be ready to come here over the coming days and see one of the best shows that they'll ever witness in their lives.
All right, and I'm sure they'll love it. But good advice to check out the Wembley Stadium website to make sure they have and don't have all the right things. Ian, thank you.